Good afternoon, Mike. This is Jessica with Peterson SEO. Thank you for connecting with us and giving us the opportunity to do this audit for you. So today we're just going to go over a couple things. We're going to show you some tips that can help improve your online presence and start getting more organic leads. We'll take a look at some of what your competitors are doing. And some tips of what you could be applying. Okay, so before we get started, let's go with to the beginning. Most searches start with a Google search, right? Keyword goes on top, and there's three sections of Google that as a business owner you can own. So the first section is your ads. Those are going to be your cost per click ads where you pay by click, and your local service ads. These are your Google guaranteed ads. They tend to be a little bit more expensive, but you're only paying per lead, whereas the other cost per click, you're paying for every single click. About 10% of people will actually go through your ads. One of the most important sections here is your Google business profile. Your goal should be to be in the top three, like you are, for all of your major services in your service area. This is a very fluid section, so it is really important not just to put up your Google business and forget it, but to get it optimized and be working with it every single month. There are several factors that go into getting in the top three section, and one of those just happens to be citations, which is the name of your business, your address, phone number, and website, and listing those in a bunch of directories. And you want to have more of those than your competition. Let me take a look at yours real quick. That's good. You have 11 reviews. Definitely want to work on reviews. I'm not seeing any photos. You do have to have more photos than your competition as well. Um, I'm not seeing any questions and answers. That is a really good way to answer questions and be found when people are searching for certain questions and using those keywords. Good description here. And I'm not seeing any updates. You definitely want to be doing weekly updates and adding new photos every single week. You got to keep this active, which is a signal to Google that you're active and that you're authoritative. And so when people search, you come up in the top three. So that's one of the a couple of the factors for ranking your Google business profile. So now if we come back here, um, we talked about the first section was ads, the second section is Google business. The third section and the most important section here is the organic section. Nearly 60% of people will skip everything else and come straight here. And so you want your website to be listed um, in the top of the first page of Google. There's 10 spots. So you want to be in the top of there. Um, all right, so we can see in the top we have Serve Pro, Service Master, and Park Ridge. Serve Pro and Service Masters are franchises, um, and they tend to be on the top because of the power of their website. Franchisees are at a huge disservice because they cannot optimize their site. They cannot change their targeting and change out their content. The franchises don't allow them. So that gives you guys a huge advantage because you can do the work to do the proper SEO and to outrank these sites. So it is very possible. So going back to your website right here, it's got a nice clean look. It is secured, which is great. That's super, super important. You have call to click. I like that. Um, your website needs to be super user friendly and have lots of call to actions. Um, you don't have a lot of time to convert your website visitors into customers. So you really have to capture their attention. I always recommend having with your click to calls, also having a form right at the top of your website so you make it super easy for your clients. Now, a website to rank is more than appearance, right? So, in order for a website to rank, you have to have good content. That's written content, those are pictures, but they have to focus on your local keywords. Not everybody's going to know your brand, and when they're in an emergency, they're going to be searching for what they need. So, um, that could be your city water damage, Chicago water damage, whatever. So you need to do that. You need to have the proper amount of repetition on, and you need fresh content. So every single page of your website has to have original content, and each needs to focus on their own local keywords. Um, your home page is the most critical page on your website. So it is really, really important that it has a ton of information. I do like that you have a couple Q&As here. That's good. But you really need a lot more written content here. Um, Good. I'm glad to see that you have a form. Um, I always advise against posting the email because you'll get a lot of spam this way. I prefer just to let them go to forms. Um, so yeah, a good basic website, good basic appearance. It's just lacking a lot of content. In order to be indexed for keywords, you have to have the content. And then your services um, doesn't have any information at all. So you need to have a separate page for every single one of your services, and it has to have its own written content focused on its own keywords so that you can be indexed by Google. And then having the SEO to back it so that you can boost yourself up above those franchises. Now, we'll just take a quick look at these top three websites, and you'll see it should be relatively simple to meet them and beat them. So ServPro, I just happen to know they just redid their website and they just went live about a week ago, but they still did not help out their franchisees. There's just really no content here. There's no local keywords. And so there's really nothing to be indexed for. So they get their boost because it's a franchise and the franchise website has power. Um, Here's Service Master Restore. Out of the three, this is the better website. They got their clicked calls. They have separate pages for each of their services. And you can see here they're going after local keywords. Water damage restoration, Park Ridge, Illinois. So local keywords. You need that repetition at least 3 times to even get picked up. And you can see they have just a ton of written content. So your content has to be more than your competition, right? So your homepage is going to have over 1,500 words of content alone. Then if we look at AW, finally a non-franchisee, very simple website. I love that they have their form up top and the click to calls. They have their call to actions everywhere, so that's important. But just like the franchises, there's just not much information, and that's it, right? So Um, without having the content, there's nothing to rank for. There's no keywords. And it's basically a one-page website. So those do not work when it comes to ranking. And these are your top three for water damage in your cities. So by putting these tips together, you should be able to easily meet them where they're at and start to outrank them. Um, Now, if we look at this tool here, this is called Ahrefs. It tells us how your website is performing. Here's your website, right now it has a 301 error. A 301 is a redirect, so I don't know if there was another website somehow, or there's some type of redirection, but there's an error there somewhere. You have a 3.7 rating on your homepage, 0 out of 100. In Google's trust flow, Google does not trust your website. You have a couple backlinks, and you've got 0 keywords because you just don't have that content. This is the www version. If we take out the www, you have 20 backlinks, and all of these backlinks here are all spam. Even though these have high domain ratings, they are all spam. They're not related. So they're giving you 0 power. So all of these actually need to be disavowed because they're actually hurting your Google trust more than they're helping, which will hinder your ability to rank. So you got to get those disavowed. When we look at ServPro, their domain is a 78. That's the power of the franchise. But this specific location is a 2.4. They have 0 backlinks, and their one keyword that they are ranking for here is cleaning services, and they're on the 3rd page of Google. So they're not ranking even for that. And when we look at Park or AW, they also have a 0 domain rating. They got backlinks, 0 keywords. Now, just to go over it real quickly, what a backlink is. This is like a popularity contest for Google to rank your website. A backlink is a physical link that connects your website to another website, and the referring domain is that other website. If you think of this like powering up your favorite tool, the referring domain is the power source. The backlink is that cord or battery or whatever that when you turn it on is going to power up that tool. So this is the power that supplies your website to get it to rank, to bring in that organic traffic. And then if we look at Service Master, again, the power is all in the franchise. The location is all 0. And if we look at those keywords here, fire damage, water damage, and they are 46, 52, 48. So they're over 5 pages back. So in your specific area, if you focus on the strategies that I've just shown you today, you have a huge opportunity to beat these guys and start getting that organic traffic. Again, this is Jessica with Peterson SEO. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to do this audit for you. I look forward to speaking with you on Monday, and if you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.